Today, we are ranking the past 20 years of FIFA history. I even pulled out some of the original OG titles. I started playing in 2004, which lines up perfectly because 20 years brings us to 2024. If you want more of this goodness, make sure to drop some love and get in the comments. Let me know your opinions because we're going to go through many eras of different titles, pre-Ultimate Team, the golden years, competitive play, and present day. Shall we begin? As for the tiers, we have GOAT, Elite, Classics, Debatable, and the Pine. I'm trying to reserve that top tier for maybe 1-2 titles. I want to make it something special. I do not believe I have the original 2004 up here. I am seeing that I have multiple 2006s. I did not get into competitive play until I guess FIFA Interactive World Cup. I made my first qualification in 2006. So that was the time period for me. FIFA Interactive World Cup turned into the FIFA E World Cup, which just turned into now, I suppose we're going towards the FC Pro finals, this year being the first time that we don't have FIFA in the naming rights. 2004 and 2005, I believe both had a functionality called off the ball. It was wild. It was the precursor many years before player lock, and you could abuse it in ways you could never imagine. If you didn't play the old school games, they were fun, but they didn't have the same details. You didn't even have the skill moves. If you remember, if we're throwing it back, you didn't have an analog stick. I still think 2004 as my starting year, I'm gonna go ahead and give it classic. And I was really grinding, but I didn't have the gaming experience. I didn't understand anything around meta or how to work angles, how to replicate what I was doing on the actual pitch. For sure, classic. Because 2005 doesn't feel as memorable for me compared to 2004, I'm just gonna put it down a notch. If you want to make a sale the other way, I hear you. In the comment section, let me know which titles you loved, which titles you couldn't stand, and why. 2006, incredible game. Such a fun title. I played thousands of matches. My biggest breakthrough. It might be talked about in that GOAT category, and I remember it was also a World Cup year. There were multiple games that year. So I've got, what do I have over here? We had the original FIFA 2006. But then there was also the Germany build. We also had a Champions League game. Could you imagine if they did this to us now? And then we had the next console was upcoming. So they put out the FIFA 2006 Road to the FIFA World Cup. That game was very different than the previous couple because some of these games were on the original, I guess, current gen, and they were moving towards next gen. But I don't think this might have never happened again. In 1 year, we had 4 different titles, completely different titles. Man, I was spending money on games. 07. Another year that was still crossing into a new console, and they had 2 different games. I remember there was a next gen and a current gen, but the current gen was more popular than next gen. People weren't adapting to new consoles nearly as quickly, and the competitive scene even was very international, but all around the world. So the PC was more common than you would think. It was still a good game, a lot of crosses, a lot of crossing. I'm gonna put it as a classic. I have it sitting here. I actually have it autographed. See if you can see that autograph. Look at that. I think I got this autograph by Kenny Cooper, an old school MLS player, now retired, but good times. FIFA 2008 is one of my favorites. And this is also when skill moves, I feel like, got a big bump. They improved. We had the practice arena. We had Be a Pro, which was really fun. 2008 was the year of the skill moves. We started getting a little bit of some dancing. So we're going to give that the elite tier for sure. I might hold off till the end with some of this GOAT tier talk. FIFA 2009, and we have a few copies of that as well. PlayStation, PC, and Xbox. We had made the pickup. We were committed to the cause. I want to say Ultimate Team started in 2009, which that should probably make it in the category of potentially getting into some sort of GOAT positioning. But I didn't play it that early. I was not an early adopter. Like many of you, I think there was a little bit of a lag. I played a little bit in 2010. I really made a pusher, I think, in Ultimate Team starting maybe 2011. And then we pushed into 12, which is a fantastic game. And the Brasilvers and some of the squad building and hybrids. Good moments, early doors. I'm going to slot 2010 into a debatable. Manager mode would have been the big announcement. I was playing career mode too, but I had started already playing a lot more online. I'd already made that transition, that crossover. FIFA Soccer 11, you got Landon Donovan, you got the likes of Kaká. I think we had more dribbling, which is good. As someone who's definitely always taken advantage of skill moves, maximized them, good looks. I also feel this was our early entry into the beginning of the golden years, which I look at kind of FIFA 12 to FIFA 16, where it was super arcadey gameplay, a lot of goals, a lot of opportunities, fast-paced. I'm gonna have FIFA 11 in the classic department. FIFA 12, man, I was body feigning everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Elite. And it's kind of where I started a little more with content. I think it was maybe my earliest beginnings. I don't know that I would say I was a content creator, but it was on my mind. Because that was still in the era of montages being popular, not only in FIFA, but across the gaming community. So there's a montage era, without a doubt. For FIFA 13, they had this special box. I don't know if they had done a previous special box like that in any of the earlier iterations. It's kind of a tin. Where is the game? FIFA 13 definitely didn't feel the same as FIFA 12. It built off that game, but you saw my hype with FIFA 12, so I'm going to just go ahead and throw 13 into the debate. A lot of the early titles weren't in a position that I think they could qualify to be the Pine, but I don't know if they had enough depth to also be considered the GOAT. The newer games have so much more that you can do. It's not even close. But some of the older titles, because of that lack of Ultimate Team or the build out or the microtransactions or the collaborations between the actual game and what was happening on the virtual pitch, they may be focused more so on the gameplay just being fun. EA didn't have the ability to keep you on the game via packs or via an objective or via an SBC. They didn't have the draft or rivals or squad battles. There weren't all these different game modes within a game mode. So FIFA 13 is getting in the debate. Only a singular copy of FIFA 14. Because we're leading into, again, a title that I know is going to be up there for GOAT status. I probably will give it GOAT status, actually. FIFA 15, what a year. If you've been following the channel, this was my breakout year. You have to be a throwback subscriber or a viewer, but a lot of my content went a little more viral when it came down to the tips and the tutorials and the way that you could dance and move and express. Very skill move heavy, not that realistic, but it's got to be one of the GOATs. For yours truly, it's there. I had so much fun playing the game. My competitive career trajectory through the roof, because I'd already been competing for years. It's just a matter of what tournaments did we have? What notoriety did we have? I'm going to have to backtrack to FIFA 14. I didn't forget about this, but I forgot the year. I had my own celebration in the game that I motion captured for. I won a contest. To this day, it might be one of the coolest things that I've been a part of or that I've got to do with the game. So FIFA 14 is going to be back on the up and up. I think for that, we've got to get it to at least classics. Debatable's not right. Also, FIFA 14, as I'm kind of moving around here, first year that we had chemistry styles. The usual for FIFA 15, we just had the 2 copies, PlayStation and Xbox. I don't think we were dabbling with anything on the PC at this point, but if they had a tournament, I was going. Oh, FIFA 16. Hello. The usual 2 for FIFA 16, as we do. I remember FIFA 16 I did not like in the same way as FIFA 12 or FIFA 15. And for that reason, I'll move it into classics as we finish out the golden era. FIFA 17, it's got to go straight to the GOAT for multiple reasons as well. So we had the introduction and the big announcement around Foot Champs, competitive ecosystem. We now have esports officially. Before that, we had tournaments, but we did not have esports. And Foot Champs was so addictive. 40 games, you're searching for the monthly rewards, the top 100 rewards. And we also had the Journey was the same year. And I think the Journey is one of the most overlooked, understated, underrated, under the radar game modes of all time within the FIFA space. Maybe it came out at the wrong time. There was too much happening in FIFA 17. What a great idea with Alex Hunter and the storyline and the narrative and having a career mode where you had choice. There was a backstory. Also, the year of Frostbite engine was introduced. And if you look back on FIFA 17, just the movement of the players, the way they support runs, the gameplay, the better player won the majority of the time. It wasn't that high scoring, but the gameplay and the innovative and the build up, generally speaking, was good to go. The skills, the finishing, it was a little bit slow. And I also remember that shielding was super overpowered because they had just introduced the 360 shield, or just shielding in general, where you kind of move with the shield, and it was a little broken. So I don't want people to think that old games were perfect, because they weren't. We often get a recency bias and we talk about, well, what's happening currently? What's happening present day? The old titles were far from being a masterpiece, but that doesn't mean that they weren't fun games. And sometimes the simplicity made it all work, made it all come together. But I was losing every weekend of my life in FIFA 17. FIFA 18 was an in-between year. 17 had too much hype. We had squad battles, and also, if you recall, it used to be Legends, and Xbox had an exclusive deal for some of those years with EA, and then it turned to PlayStation, and we went from Legends to Icons, if you remember, with the name change or the name rebrand. I'm going to give FIFA 18 a debatable. I don't think it's going to get a clear, this is what it's going to be. And then FIFA 19, for me, it's going to be in the pine every single time. It was high scoring. It was probably the most active we've ever had this esport in terms of goals just being scored and conceded, but it was too many changes and shifts all at once. We had goalkeeper movement where the goalkeepers were like Spider-Man. You had enough time to double back and fake this way and fake that way. We had time finishing. It was easier to score from outside of the box versus inside the box. Volleys were overpowered. Dynamic tactics were introduced. It was just too many changes for the gameplay, and it didn't feel realistic. There was no simulation. So some of you might think back and be like, well, it was fun. There was a skill gap, but it was not anything to do with the sport. We're whipping in El Tornado crosses into the back post. We're spamming La Croquetas. It's also when Division Rivals was introduced, 2019. Bang, bang. Blues, Clues, Cristiano with Juventus. FIFA 20 had Volta, which I enjoy as a FIFA Street fan. I think it was also friendlies. It doesn't feel that memorable for me, so I'm going to put it into the debate. FIFA 21, they had the big announcement around co-op, but I don't know that that actually worked. Technically, it didn't. We didn't get to use it in the game modes we wanted to. There were complications, rules, guidelines. Still an improvement from FIFA 20. FIFA 22 had a bunch of icons. Do you remember? It was the announcement of like Foot 100 with 100 icons. I remember the announcement leading up into the year. There's a lot of bus driving. Plenty of that went down. I don't know that I'll give it a classic. A lot of these newer titles, I don't know if they get into classic. I might be a little too friendly with even having FIFA 21 in the classics. I liked last year's game. I thought there was a lot to enjoy. Of course, we've had tons of different promos and integrations and upgrades and new players you had access to. Way less of this Road to Glory limitation that we're seeing this year and the untradeable push. I don't know if I'd give it elite. That's maybe where I'm questioning, but I'm thinking about it. As you can see, FIFA 23, Mbappe and Sam Kerr on the front cover. Ultimate Edition. FIFA 23, I think, was underrated. I really do. Because I played that game late into the year. And because of FIFA 23, I had a lot of excitement coming into 24. I don't think that ends bad. It's hard to do this comparison when you look at 2006 and 2008 and 09 and 12. They're just not similar games. We have to have something from the next gen outside of maybe FIFA 17, which just had every big announcement you could ask for. FIFA 23 also had the World Cup mode, but that didn't work. It was bad timing as well because it was during the release, so I don't think EA put any effort into it just because it would have messed up potentially later stage items and upgrades. A lot of content going out as well. We had Hypermotion 2, and then you had the chemistry overhaul, but like I said, I have a generally positive memory thinking about last year's game. Was it perfect? No. Did we see 5 at the backs at times? For sure. Did we have different rulings? There were a lot of different patches in different moments, but either way, I felt like there was a lot of longevity because the game did shift, even from a gameplay perspective. You had variety of scoring goals. I feel like FIFA 23 ended up being 3 or 4 different titles depending what patch we're talking about. And you might have preferred some of those patches over other patches. I just feel like something deserves an elite before we got into FC 24. I don't know where we start here. We've made a lot of videos discussing it. The problem is not one-dimensional with FC 24 because if it was just gameplay, we'd have gameplay discussions. But between the game modes, the market, which I've never been a part of such a disrupted market where I can't afford to buy the majority of players I want, and I have a fantastic record. I play through a lot of the objectives, but I'm stuck into almost a collectible game of untradables with FC 24. And then gameplay-wise, I loved the game when it launched. Before the patch, I was super gassed. I mean, I probably made videos talking about this is something to learn, to work on. It's different. I'm swinging, I'm missing. There's definite skill gaps. It's a lot of intricacy. But as it stands, after this newest of patches, I can't even pass the ball inside. So I'd love for this to be at least in the debate. It's had plenty of debatable moments. I think it's even had classic moments. But the current state is leaning more towards the pine. I don't think I would rather play FIFA 19. I'm not going to sit here and just shift my entire tone. FIFA 19, a lot of goals, but nothing to do with the sport. And this game, depending on the patch, has had gameplay moments that were at a better level than a lot of FIFA 19. I just think people don't recall what was happening in that game. A lot of bugginess, a lot of rebounds, and I'm not saying this year is perfect. In fact, I put them both in the category. Every progressive year, we should be getting ourselves into a better place in theory with the gameplay and the add-ons and the moments and the memories, and being more progressive as well in terms of subtle details that make a difference. For example, in FC 24, when you go into a draft, it didn't change a lot, but at least your players, which probably should have been adjusted a while ago, can adapt to the positions. So you don't end up with a bunch of guys that can't get chemistry, which was so frustrating. Am I gonna do a review? I don't think so. I like the GOAT status with 2015 and 2017. I would probably angle FIFA 12 or FIFA 06 as the, I think FIFA, maybe even 08 was a good breakout year. I'm not changing the GOAT placement. You can let me know if you agree. I think for most of us, FIFA 17 really stands out, but I'm telling you, FIFA 15 had creme de la creme. There's probably some room between classics and debate, depending when you started and how much time you invested in certain years. Anyways, I look forward to the comments. If you're new here, it's free to subscribe. And as always, I have a lot more content coming out ASAP.